Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome back. So we're not actually working on the Evo today. We'll be taking a break from the Evo build today. So I was actually given the opportunity to work on a 2.5 RS, a Subaru 2.5 RS. So this will be my first time ever actually working on a GC8. Also my first time ever driving one. It's actually one of my dream builds, preferably a two-door 2.5 RS and like recreating a 22B. Definitely would rather have it in the World Rally Blue, but that's nothing a wrap couldn't solve. But 100% I would like to recreate a 22B one day. But basically we're gonna be installing coilovers on the GC8 today. And the coilovers were actually provided by a brand known as Maxpeedingrods. So shout out to them for sending these coilovers out. I'm actually gonna do a quick drive of the car on stock suspension first, see how much body roll it has now compared to after the coilovers have been installed. So a little background information about the company. So they've been producing car parts since I believe 2006, and they make obviously coilovers, connecting rods, crankshafts, turbos, and a bunch of other things as well. So they do have warehouses in the US, so they normally ship in about 24 hours, and it only takes about 3 to 5 days for them to, or for you to receive them. So I will be doing an unboxing on those coilovers. Before I do, I actually want to go ahead and take a quick little test run of the GC8. This steering wheel feels huge. I mean, it rides smooth, but it just, you know, feels like your grandma car. The transmission sounds weird. Sounds like it's long fluid or something like that. I don't know. This would definitely benefit from an STI swap though. That, some bigger brakes. I don't know, it's the diff or something's making a weird noise. I don't know what it is, but transmission or the rear diff or wheel bearing, something's making a weird noise. But aside from that, it rides smooth. It just needs more power. Maybe an LS or something. She was all looking like, what the hell is he doing? Can it make it? The Evo wouldn't have made that. I'm always worried about getting pulled over in somebody else's car and not being insured. Stop resisting! The first mod on this probably should have been AC. All right, after driving this, I can honestly say that this car would definitely benefit from a set of coilovers. So let's go ahead and get these unboxed. Shortly after that, we'll go ahead and throw them on the car. If it's anything like installing them on the STI, it'll be a breeze. So fingers crossed that this goes smoothly, because I don't want any issues. The coilovers actually look pretty good, especially given the cost. So if I haven't mentioned, these run about 300 bucks. So not bad at all as far as price goes. And on top of that, I do have a discount code. I'll actually leave it in the description as well, but I'll put it on the screen. So it's Chris Car. It'll save you 15% on these coilovers for any other car. Whatever they have on the website, it'll save you 15% off. But everyone knows the true test is how they feel, how they perform. So let's go ahead. We're gonna actually start with the rears first. Have the car backed into the garage. So we're gonna start with the rears first, because I assume that those will probably be the most difficult. Not that I'm anticipating them being very hard to do, but we'll go ahead and knock out those first, and then we'll move on to the front. All right, so to get to the top of the coilovers on the rear of the GC chassis, I'm pretty sure it's the same as it is on the GD, so I have to take out the rear seats. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out. There's just two bolts at the bottom on each side, on the bottom half of the seats, and I believe the back portion just pops out after that. Or actually, no, I believe there's like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. There's bolts on there as well. So let's go ahead and take these rear seats out. And at that point, I should have access to the top of the coilovers, or to the top of the stock suspension, so I can put in the coilovers. All right, so it's almost identical to the STI. So we just have the 2 bolts holding on the suspension. Looks like they're 19s. The brake line is set up a little different though, so I do have to remove this little slide clip here, so that way I can swing the brake line out of the way and remove the stock suspension. It should only take a few minutes, so let's go ahead and knock that out. Then I can do the 3 bolts at the top, and then we should be good to go. As you can imagine, that old stock suspension is like 10 times heavier. No, not 10 times heavier, but it's definitely heavier than the coilover. And one of the good things about switching over to coilovers is that because they're smaller, you can run wider wheels. I believe he actually has a couple sets of wheels that he wants to throw on as well, along with some spacers. He may actually have to roll his fenders, I don't know. But one thing to note is that the brake line actually runs through the stock suspension here. So I did have to disconnect it from the caliper, which means I lost just a little bit of fluid. So I'll probably have to bleed that rear caliper, or both of them actually. With the new coilovers, it'll just slide in right here. There's an opening right here at the top, so it'll just slide in and it'll hold in place with that clip. So let's go ahead and get this side finished up, move over to the passenger side, and we'll be done with the rear. I haven't even left the car on the ground yet, and you can notice the difference in the gap. So this right here is the driver's side versus the gap on the passenger side.
Much later.
All right, I got the passenger side off. Man, that sucked. I swear it felt like the bolt was like welded on there. Now I just have to put the new coilover on and I should be done with the rear. Oh, and I do have to bleed the brakes as well. But I'm gonna finish that, and I think I'm actually gonna finish up the fronts in the morning.
Day 2.
All right, so I finished the coilovers in the rear last night. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the ones in the front, and we should be good to go with the 2.5 RS. So for a quick comparison, the suspension in the rear is stiff, as you would imagine, but in the front, it still has that grandma-esque, you know, suspension on there. Let's go ahead and knock these out, and then do a test drive, and we should be good to go. Hopefully these coilovers feel pretty good. So it looks like for the fronts, I may be able to get away with removing the brake lines without actually disconnecting them from the caliper. So that's a win. It looks like this actually slides out. There might be an opening there. And I should be able to unbolt this and slide this off as well. So fingers crossed, we should be good as far as that goes. But this, yes, definitely needs an STI swap. Or maybe even an EG33 swap. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I low-key want to do that on my STI like in the future. Don't know if I'll ever do that, but the thought has crossed my mind now. All right, so the brake line was held on with this clip here, so I did have to slide this off just using the flathead screwdriver. I did have to bend this bracket. It did have a slit in it, so I could actually bend it out of the way, and now we're good to go. I don't actually have to remove the brake line, which is good. All right, so coilovers are on. Car is back on the ground. It could definitely go even lower, but the fenders would definitely have to be rolled. And like I said before, I'm gonna let him make those adjustments as far as how low he wants it to go. Also, I know he has some different wheels that are going here as well. I believe he has some gold BBSs, like some gold STI wheels, and I think those will actually look pretty good. It's not quite as low as, you know, the Evo, or as fast, but actually it's faster because the car's still down, so. Rip. But wheels are torqued, everything should be good to go, so we're gonna go ahead and go for a test drive. The STI needs to be cleaned. It rained last night, and rain in Arizona is it's pretty dirty. It sits a whole lot better than it did. I wish I would have got some video footage of how it looked before. I don't know what that noise is. It worries me. But it feels a lot better though.
They kill us. Well, you're definitely driving a lot faster this time.
It doesn't feel like a grandma car anymore. It feels good.
That's okay.
I think the dampening needs to be adjusted a little bit more, but aside from that, and it needs to go just a little bit lower as well. It needs to go just a little bit lower. I mean, for me, you know, for my liking, it needs to go a little bit lower. If you're watching this, I'll give you $500 for it. After having driven this a little bit on these coilovers, I would definitely say they're worth the $300 that they cost. One thing still in question is how long they'll actually last. So I'll check back with Yamin in like a month or so to find out how they're doing. Assuming he still drives this regularly. All right, so after having driven it, I'd say for the price, those coilovers aren't bad at all. The only real question I have left now is how long they'll actually last. Now here in AZ, the streets aren't bad at all. They're pretty smooth for the most part, so that will help a lot. So in the end, I'd say they're definitely worth it for like a street car, I guess. So if you decide you want to get them for yourself and give them a try, I will have the link to their website down below in the description box. Also, you can use discount code ChrisCar, and that'll save you another 15% off at checkout on anything on the website. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. Hopefully next week I'll be able to get the Evo running. It should be good to go as far as the base map goes. I received the base map from Chad, so that needs to be put on the car. So if you haven't, go ahead, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you stay up to date with each one of my uploads, and I'll see you guys in the next video.